Alright. Thought I'd show you a new build I've been working on. Decided to try out. I didn't create it, of course, but thought I'd give it a try and see what we have going on. What we're looking at is the Evade build. And we are basically using eagle skills. That's what we're looking at doing, and just trying to evade as much as possible. So let me run you through the build here real fast, and as always you could see my builds on Diablo build or d4builds.gg, and if you follow me on YouTube, of course I will have the link posted there directly to the build. So let's just go over my gear real fast that I'm using. Using the Harlequin crest. Most important thing on this is cooldown reduction. Of course, I've only built this, yesterday. So not all my gear is going to be perfect by any means. But, it is what I'm working on anyways. Shroud of False Death. I mean, it's the best piece of gear in the game right now with the +1 to all passives. You want to focus on max life on this one. What we have here is just a pair of legendary gloves. What you want to focus on these are critical strike chance. The reason I have to use these is because I'm stacking armor. And so I needed additional armor. I have to get about 5,300 armor in order to get the maximum off of unyielding hits. And so I needed this pair of gloves. Now, if you don't have a problem with getting your gloves, and the key there is going to be your amulet. If you can get a star on total armor, then you will not probably have a problem, and you can switch these gloves out for Fist of Faith. So, that is another option. But on this, of course, you can see I use Conceited and for my aspect, and I don't even have it max rolled on critical strike chance, but that's what I want to try to hit on these. For the pants, of course, dexterity, max life, and more armor. Then you have barrier generation, which is always important, and you have max resolve stacks, which you want to hit max resolve stacks 3 times. Of course, I don't have that hit, but that's something I'm working on. And of course, you want menacing on the pants. On the boots, I run Dex, Max Life, and Armor. Evade cooldown is your important one on this. Remember, you're going to be evading. That's your main attack. And then, of course, you have scored size. We do use a pole arm. We have Dex, Max Life, Critical Strike Damage. Tempered, we have Primary Eagle Skill, or Eagle Spirit Hall, Potency. And then we have Storm Feather Potency. On the boots, by the way, I use Apprehension, which, since you're using Scrooge or Scrooge, whatever it is, you're going to be fearing everything, and that's where the extra damage is going to come in. On the actual pole arm, we're going to be running redirected force, and that's so you can have that big critical strike multiplier off your block chance. On the gear, of course, you can see that I use barrier regen. And on my runes here, I'm going to use CEM and JAH, J-A-A-H. That's for the teleport. And on the weapon, I use Bach and TZIC. How you're going to say that, I have no clue. But what that's going to do is do the concussive stomp, which that's how we're going to generate our barrier, and we'll go into that. On the amulet, you want dexterity, total armor, and brilliance. If you can't find brilliance, because it is a tough one, it's tough on any amulet to find, then you can do dex, total armor, and critical strike chance, something of that nature. I would suggest to make it a little bit easier with your armor, so you can run Fist of Faith. Try to find one with at least dex and total armor starred. That's going to make it a lot easier to get to your armor. Then you can run Fist of Fate, which gives you a little bit more multiplier bug damage. And of course you want interdiction on this to increase your block chance per resolve stack. On the rings, you want Dexterity, Max Life, Critical Strike. On this ring, I have Storm Feather Potency, which, remember, that's going to be your damage off your evade. And your cooldown reduction. Defense cooldown reduction. So that's going to help you keep your cooldowns down, because we're not going to be using what they use on Quill Volley, the potency, or whatever that is. This is unyielding hits. What you have here is you increase... or Gorilla Skill, when you cast it, it increases your damage by 28% of your armor for 3 seconds. Get a maximum bonus of 1,500 weapon damage. Well, if you look, well, if we get over there, the weapon damage here is 595. It's damage per second weapon damage. And so you're getting like 2 or 3 weapons just off of this. So you want to try to cap out unyielding hits. The way you figure out how much armor that you need in order, mostly, and this is after all the stuff is gone, you take 1,500, which is the max bonus you can get, and you'll multiply it times 28%, or divide it, I apologize. So you're going to take 1,500, divide it by 0.28, and that should give you 5,300 and something. I have 5,400, so I'm covered there. If you have a perfect roll, which I don't, and you have the 30%, you would take 1,500, divide it by 0.3, and that equals 5,000. So you would only need 5,000 armor showing in order to get that max 1,500 bonus to weapon damage. So very important that you max that out, because that is going to drive your Eagle Spirit Hall, your Storm Feathers. So you most definitely want that maxed. Okay, on the next ring, of course, we have Dexterity, Max Life, Critical Strike. We have Storm Feather Potency, and then we have the Hunter cooldown, which that's going to cool down my Jaguar skill. The Hunter, ultimate. Okay, let's go over the stats real fast. I'm going to tell you that don't worry about resist, okay? I'm going to show you that you're going to be fine even with 4.9% resist. All right, this is your weapon damage right now. You add that 1,500 in there. Of course, you're going to have about 2,200 weapon damage total. Critical strike chance. I'm going to be going off of my skill tree, and it will multiply that up using Mirage to right at 85-90%. That's about where you want it. And I'll just scroll down here so you can see my maximum life, armor, barrier bonus 123. The deal is that when you're using concussive stomp, or the runes for concussion, you're stomping and you want to get that barrier filled up as fast as possible, and I'll show you when we go to the skill tree how that actually works without using the druid's bulwark or whatever it is skill. Okay, and of course you could see cooldown reductions 48.9 because they can't even keep their stuff working. All right, let's go here. As you can see, I use Eagle and Gorilla. Now what you have here is, if you read the Eagle skill, it says casting the Eagle skill will grant 8 seconds of Storm Feather movement bonus speed. When you evade, fling up to 8 Storm Feathers for every remaining second. Each dealing, at this point, it's 971,000 lightning damage. It makes the targets vulnerable for 9 seconds. And of course, your Gorilla gives you the 2 resolve stacks and makes you unstoppable. Now, this is going to multiply. And what I mean by that, it's off. It feeds off of your weapon damage. I'll take you. Let's go out out here where the monsters are real fast, and I'll just show you. Okay, when we go out here, you know what I want to show you is just right now. See how it went up. Now it's at 2,028.57 whenever I'm fighting. But whenever I go to fight, and I'm going to cast my skills, if I can find them. Wrong one. As you can see now, it's at 10 million a feather. I can get this as high fighting up to 13 million a feather. And you're going to cast a lot of these feathers just by evading. Okay? So, now let me get back into town. Now, with that said, let's go over the skill tree real fast. This will just be quick. So we're going to have Thunder Spike. I'm gonna put 4 points into Thunder Spike, and that's just so I can get around, because as you'll notice, I have no core skills. So 8 points into Thunder Spike, and you're actually going to use this, and it helps cut the animation on the evade. It helps cut that down. And here, another important part, when you evade, you attack with Thunder Spike along the way, and you make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. But this also helps cut down on your, well, it helps cut down on your evade. Let me get over here. Your third attack pierces further, and it reduces your evade cooldown by 5 seconds. So what you're going to see is that I do have, using my gear and my skills, I have 8 evades. Okay. So, it gets a little tricky here. Alright, so whenever we put 4 in here, 1 and 1, then we're going to be able to get over here to this one. You're going to get to your focus skills. You're not going to put anything in your core. You're going to get to your focus skills. You're going to put 1 point in focal and 3 points in apex. Mirage. This is another thing that's important, because this is going to push your critical strike chance up another 20%. You gain 80% increased dodge chance during evading. Everything we do is going to be evade. Whenever you dodge, you gain 20% critical strike chance for 3 seconds. Now, if you remember, and I'm going to go back here to my stats, just standing in town, my dodge chance is 20%. You add that 80% in there, we're going to have 100% dodge chance. So you're going to dodge a lot, and which is going to keep that extra 20% going into your critical strike chance, which is going to put you at 80 something. Of course, you get other bonuses when you're fighting, so it's right at 90% for me when I'm fighting. But that's going to put you at 83%. What you want to do is get right around 90. Now, if you're having trouble finding items that give you dodge, then I would suggest going Eagle, and then coming down here and going Eagle. If you look, it says for every 4 meters you move, your critical strike chance increases by 4%. This bonus is reset 2 seconds after you critically strike. So as long as you're moving, which you always are with evade, you are going to gain additional critical strike chance until it goes off. Then it's going to reset, and then it'll start over again. So you're going to be at 80, and then you figure you need to move 16 meters, whatever that is in the game, to get the rest that you need to get to 100, and then it'll reset. The only bad thing there is that, of course, you lose resolve stacks, which are also important for damage. And but it's, if you have to do it, you have to do it, because critical strikes are going to be very important, because we're also, your critical strike will damage jumps up to 20, 30,000. Okay. All right, so that explains the Mirage and the Dodge and how you gain the extra critical chance. We do put 3 points in Understrain Power, 1 point in Ravager, over to Replenish Ravager. And this board, you're going to put 1 in Endurance. You're going to put 3 in Preference. You're going to put 5 in Armor Hide, because this is one of the guerrilla skills that you're going to use. And you're going to go all the way over to Reinforced Armor Hide. Okay. Concussive Stomp. The only reason you have this even filled in, put 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, is because, of course, you have plenty of points. But the whole thing is that you want the bonuses, because remember, your runes are going to set off your Concussive Strike. And what you want to get is the barrier. It says Concussive Strike grants a barrier equal to 10% of your maximum life per enemy hit for up to 3 seconds. Well, you're going to be hitting enemies, and this thing will be going up. But on top of that, what we're going to do is go Patent Guard 1 point, and then 3 points into Auspicious. In this, you accumulate 4% of your maximum life as barrier every second up to 40%. So you're going to be gaining this, you're going to be gaining that on Concussive Strike, because that's going to go off quite often. The only thing that's a little frustrating is that you have no control where that thing goes off. So when it does go off, you want to try to time it where you're hitting enemies. You could be walking around, it's just going to go off. Because remember, we used the rune that actually says you walk 25 meters, and then it's going to activate that rune. We are going to go with Counterattack. And we're going to go all the way over to Reinforced Counterattack. Of course, your cooldown. Scrooge, whatever you want to call it. I want you to see that this has a 5-second cooldown with the cooldowns that I have, but the aspect that I'm using makes it active around me for 9 seconds. So you should be able to have this up all the time, poisoning enemies, getting the extra damage from the crowd control enemies that are feared on it, and of course healing. So I do put 1 point in Anti-Venom, and that's just basically it's just because I had an extra point, and that seemed like a good place to put it. You know, get you a little more poison resist. Okay. All right. And next we're going to do Resilience, which gives you, we're going to be casting guerrilla skills almost constantly. So you're going to be 20% maximum life, which is always good. We have Brilliance, 24% extra damage, or your movement speed, that gives me 35.4 extra damage. And of course Acceleration, which is going to give you 4 additional evade charges. Now I have 3 on my boots, you get 1, that's 4. And then these 4 actually give you 8, which is what I have. And then after you evade, your next Eagle skills deal 40% increased damage. You're always evading. Okay, evade's going to be your main attack. You have Potent, you put 3 in Potent. And you have, of course, your Jaguar skills give you increased damage. Then you're going to go 3 in Resolution, 1 in Spiritual Attunement, and 3 in Supremacy. Then you're just going to fill this up. How you put 5 in Hunter. Go all the way down. And then on this, you're going to use Adaptive Stance. This is going to grant you 30% movement speed when you cast these skills. So that's your base spirit. So we're using Eagle. So we're going to get 30% movement speed off the top, which increases damage based on the skill up here. More movement speed equals more damage. Okay. And then casting a skill of a different spirit base, or a different base spirit, swaps to the new bonus. So if you cast a gorilla skill, you're going to get damage reduction. If you cast a jaguar, you would get attack speed. And of course, it increases your core stats by 50% for 7 seconds. Okay, so all this is about doing damage. So that's the basic skill. I'll just run you through, show you the Paragon tree and go over the glyphs real fast. The starter board, we use Talon. Here we are going to run Vicious Shield. And we are going to use the Jagged Plume. Alright, this we're going to do Convergence. And we run the Spirit glyph. The next board's going to be Drive, which is a new board I haven't used. And this board actually gives a lot of movement speed and just mobility. Of course, you can see here after moving 10 meters, you deal 3% increased damage for 10 seconds, and it can stack 10 times. In this board, we're actually going to put Fullamite. And then the last board, we are going to do Sapping. And in this, of course, we're going to use Colossal. And the only reason we use Colossal is for the 2% increased damage per resolve stack. So if you have, we have 28 to 30 resolve stacks. Ideal would be 30. That would give you 60% multiplicative additional damage just from your resolve stacks. And last but not least, I run Sabu. And right here on Sabu, we actually go down. We take Wire Trap, Ready at Hand, Cover Fire, and then Open Fire. And on Reinforcement, we just take Shield Charge. If he hits it, he fortifies you for 5% of your maximum life. Usually you're moving so fast that I don't know if he hits anything or not, to be honest with you. All right. Now what we will do... do that, and that. I showed you the stats. Showed you the gear. Showed you how that multiplies. The eagle multiplies up. I guess what we'll do now is we'll just do a horde. We're going to do a level 8 horde so you can see actually what the build can do. And see how it goes. I'm not going to use any buffs, nothing of that nature. We're just going to run the horde. Now, in this build, I would project that this could probably do... I know I've done a 110 pretty easy. I could probably do a 120. This is mostly built for speed and just farming. Okay, it's not going to be something you're going to probably push too deep in the pit with. You might be able to get to 130. But I wouldn't expect anything further than that. But it is a fun build to play. I mean, if you want to push the pit... you need to go with the overpowered Quill Volley build that I did because you could clear pit 150s no matter what it is pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind, but this is a fun build to, you know, do some things differently with. Alright, so what I want to let you know is that as you can see, I don't have concussion, whatever, stomp, whatever it is, on my actual board. I can't talk. But what we're going to do is we're going to lead off with Thunderspike. We're going to hit Thunderspike twice. Okay, we're going to cast it twice, and then we're going to hold down on that second hit. We're going to hold it down, and then we're going to start evading. Okay? And what that does is it cuts the animation down. As you can see, he's not completely stopping and having to fill out the stuff or finish the actual flip. He's going right into another. So you want to hit a bomb. You can even hit a monster twice and then just hold it. and just start going. It helps you actually be just a tad bit faster since they patched and tried to slow these things down. So the only thing I'm doing right now is hitting my Evade. I'm holding Thunder Strike, casting my other skills, and tapping my Evade. And as you can see, my Evade goes down 8, 7, 6, and then it resets because my Thunderstruck is down every third, it's going to reset that because 5 seconds comes off. Okay, so let's take a look at my Eagle. My Eagle right now is at 3,000. But as I'm fighting, I know for a fact it gets up to 13 million a hit, or it's at 3 million. As you can see, right now my critical strike not fighting is at 14,000. It does shoot up to over 20. And my all damage is at 1,600. And of course, you know, my block chance is 100. And of course, my movement speed's already up to 187.5. So, you know, just showing you what that is. If I start fighting, this skill on Eagle will go up to, it's, I think 12, 13 million is the highest I've seen it. Alright, so let's finish off this real fast and see what happens. So remember, you want to hit a monster twice with Thunderstruck, and then you're going to hold it, and then you're just going to start tapping your Evade. And these feathers that are shooting whenever you do evade, they are auto aim. So it just hits whatever is out there. It's actually pretty nice. But you just keep the Thunderstruck held down, that's important. Hit twice, hold it down. And of course, if you have a keyboard, it'd probably be easier to do it on a keyboard, so you can hit the button a lot faster than what I can hit this remote button. See if we can get a pretty good amount of here. As you can see, it fires wherever the enemies are. It doesn't matter which way I'm evading towards. It'll fire behind me, in front of me, to the side. So that's a pretty cool little thing. So we're gonna hit plus, hold it down, and then go. This is a little easier to control than the the Russian Claw toxic skin build that we did. It's a little faster. I don't know if it's faster, it's just easier to control. You sort of aim where you want it to go. It makes it interesting. Yeah, you most definitely want to get that barrier up as quick as possible, and then just kill everything. course, the faster you press the button, the faster you're going to go. I'm old and slow, so my old fingers only go so fast. As you can see, my attack power, I've seen my attack power get up to in the, and I've seen 650,000. So it's just going to depend on, of course, how much, what you're hitting, how much you're hitting, things of that. See, there's 700. So it gets up there a little bit. It's a very interesting build. It's a little bit more, you have to push a lot more buttons than what I did on my Quill Volley build. I just held down all the buttons on Quill Volley. But it is a little interesting to say the least. And of course you can always see your teleport. Whenever it takes off, you'll see your zip across, see that there. There it goes again. And then if anything of that teleport, if you played a sorcerer, you know that if anything's in the way of that teleport, then they'll pretty much kill them or do a lot of damage to them. I can tell you that with this build, when I'm doing level 10s, the most I've gotten on Ether are roughly, I've gotten 1400. And usually when I'm doing level 10s, I can get right at 1,000 pretty consistently. With the other builds that I've done, I haven't been able to do that as consistent as I have with this one. Of course, this one isn't a very good run, but team up with the sorcerer in here, a lightning spear sorcerer. You do really well. You can really pile up ether and, you know, have 1,500. Oh, what junk. Can't get spawn hellborn or nothing like that. Great stuff here. Hit plus. Start evading. Remember, you're tapping your evade so that way that it just keeps going. If you could channel evade, that'd be cool, but you could probably go faster by tapping. It's sort of like Whirlwind was. If you played Whirlwind on a bar, which I'm sure many of you have. But the key is just speed. Speed and auto aim. It's killing everything. Speed is king. And you never want to take that. Evade increases evade cooldown 2 seconds. You just make sure anybody you're in a group with doesn't take that, because then it messes up how you're able to evade, and it's not good. I mean, you can still do it, but you really feel the slowness just from those 2 seconds. Now we'll take in show you what we do to the boss. That's it. Horrible run as far as ether wise, but at least you get the gist of how it works. I'm sure that, you know, with a little practice, it most definitely could be faster. It is fun, to say the least. It's different. And I didn't get nothing good. Nothing at all. So, you know, if you practice at it, you probably could do pit 100s in 60 seconds. I don't think I would ever be able to do a pit 100 in 60 seconds. It would probably be at least 2-3 minutes, just because I know the way that I play. It'd get done, just I'm not always in a hurry. So just keep that in mind.
Greetings. How shall I guide my hammer?
What's going on?
My hammer sings on your return.
Alright, that is the Evade build. I probably will finish the season out with this build just to keep it interesting, and we will continue to practice to see if how good or how solid I can get with it. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoy the videos that I do, just showcasing the builds that I post or I put on d4builds.gg, give this video a like, follow me, subscribe, be greatly appreciated. Other than that, I hope everyone has a good rest of your night, and I appreciate you spending this time and watching this video. Hope everyone has a good night. Thank you.